Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. What's on deck today?
Okay, so we batted around a few different ideas, and what we landed on is talking a little bit about usage because I've gotten into a few conversations around this, both on LinkedIn and actually with a number of different clients in the last week or two.
Mm.
And I think it's one of those topics where people have very strong opinions, yet there's not necessarily a consensus on how we are all tackling it. So I think there's a lot to talk through.
Yeah. I'd love to start with the discussion because you and I are both have a long enough tenure in this, where it used to be, where we came from,
Right.
so to set the stage for
That's
what it is now.
that's a really interesting way to start it because it's so funny now. Like if you look at discussions of usage, so when we're getting away from this insider baseball and defining exactly what we're talking about in case people don't know. Like
Well,
looking
but
at
that was
what
part of the discussion. That's why we wanted to touch on it
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
is so
yeah.
meaty. Like it
So
means different
looking,
things to
yeah,
different
I mean, I
people.
think just in general, usage is how long and in what way does a brand have the right to use the content that is being created by the influencer slash creator. And I'm guessing you were the same as I am when we first started. There was the confusion back then. I'm thinking back to we launched our agency in 2011. I don't recall anyone even talking about usage until about 2013
Mm.
or so. And then back then we had some clients who were under the impression that if the content was created for them, that they owned it. And we were always very clear in our contracts. You do not own it. The creator owns it. And back then it was totally, and I feel a little bit weird saying this now because if you look at any of the Slack communities or message boards or conversations among creators and talent managers, the words in perpetuity are like saying like 666
Yeah,
or
it's the devil. You
right.
summon Beelzebub.
But back in ye
Yeah.
olden days,
Yeah.
what was very, very standard was that the influencer owned that content because it was on their platform, but the brand had the right to use it in perpetuity as long as the influencer was credited in some way. I will caveat this that back then, paid wasn't a thing. So, I
Mm.
mean, paid media in general was a thing, but
Hmm.
influencer content was not being used in paid back
Whitelisted.
in right, that
Yep.
wasn't a thing. There wasn't paid amplification on any of our brands. Weren't taking the quality of that content because the quality of cameras, all of that wasn't good enough to be used in any kind of ad.
Or, yeah, and I have a different experience of it only, I think, because of the industry. Well, you were in the same niche back then. We started in food and beverage. So actually, the conversations about usage didn't sound like today, but we had them because influencers were create bloggers, food bloggers were creating recipes, original
When the brands
recipes
wanted to use them on their
on
packaging
their
and stuff.
packaging,
Yep.
on recipe
Yeah.
cards at trade shows. And then it did become the photos also were good enough that we were starting to have to distinguish, you can't use this on your packaging. You can't use it in a print ad. You can't use it on a billboard, not with a, in a car, in a boat, not with a goat. So it wasn't the conversation about paid, to your point, but there still was this world of
Right.
licensing
But
that came into play.
was it that the brands had the right to use it in perpetuity online? So for us it was in social media or on a website.
Yeah.
And it was in perpetuity as long as the influencer was
And some credited and linked back to,
right,
because that
right,
was when blogs were the anchor content. And our language that we were avoiding was worldwide irrevocable license,
right,
like forever and ever.
right, right.
And it wasn't even, website was a no-no, actually, because
Interesting.
back then, and it's the whole conundrum of, if you have original content in the form of a recipe and now the brand is putting it on their website, that recipe now looks like duplicate content. The brand sometimes will look weightier in SEO and look like the originator of that content.
We have that issue still to this day with recipes. I
Mm-hmm.
think recipes are a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
I think for the purposes of this conversation, we're talking about a video or imagery. The
Well, to us, it was
recipes,
very closely linked, though.
interesting.
You know,
The recipes, we had to be, to your point, we had to talk about those a little bit differently, specifically because of search engine optimization. If an influencer had that recipe, if a recipe lives just on Instagram, it's less of a concern if that recipe is also living on a brand site.
right.
If an influencer has created a recipe and it's living on their blog, and then the brand wants to also have that recipe on their website, that's where you run into a situation that we need to prevent because
Canonical, I think
Right.
is the word, right? Or something like that.
I don't know.
There's a way around it that we
Yeah.
were experts in at the time.
Right.
But it led into these conversations about, again, it wasn't so clearly defined that brands were thinking we can use, and maybe it goes back to work for hire. Like contracts, you and I probably run in that a lot with our master services agreement with
Yeah.
our brand clients, that
Yeah.
they want everything their solution providers and vendors touch to be a work for hire that they own. And
Right.
so that was a pass through
Right.
setup structure that we had to guard against.
Well, and these days when brands want that work for hire type of a thing, we push them to creator generated content,
Of course.
which in
Yeah.
our world is the influencer is making it. They are not posting it. You brand own it completely. You can do whatever you want with it. You can wrap your building with this
Right.
image if you want.
At the right price.
Right.
I mean,
Right,
like
right,
there's
right.
a
Of
big
course.
difference, even in creator generated content. There's a big difference between we're going to put this on our website and we're going to fill the pages of Food and Wine with it or
Right.
some other thing. So our influencers, bloggers were very savvy about that very quickly. And I always liken this to when we see industries like, let's take the pet industry just as a total side note. It used to be we bought kibble and a leash, and that was our expenditure for a dog. It has ballooned into this minute, there are so many ways to spend money now on your pet. It's just been drilled down and refined, and I'm here for it. It's a mature industry. I feel the same thing about the influencer ecosystem, is that at first it was like, you're going to pay me $500 to post this. You get the kitchen sink, you get the whole thing. And then creators and their, agents and advocates realize, oh, this needs to be line item.
Well, but I think the added layer onto it is that there is paid amplification now.
But again, back in the day, either we would give money to the influencers directly. Here's part of the program. Take this additional sum and you boost it. You put paid behind it.
Right. Which is not really happening.
Right.
I mean, the brands are.
We'd pitch it like a benefit to the creator. Like, oh, the brand is going to boost your content, right?
Happy
And
day.
it always was with a link back to them. So it was to drive their traffic.
Right.
But it for sure, for a while, was a plus up, a goodwill, a benefit to the creator that they now are like, wait a minute.
Well, so flash forward to today, or as my son used to always say, fast back. Rewind and fast back. Flash forward to today, and fast back was rewind. I don't know.
Maybe flash
He's our
forward and
amazing
fast back.
editor. Yeah, it was.
That's right.
It was fast forward and fast back, which makes more sense than rewind if you think about it.
Right. Yeah.
So flash forward to today, and obviously influencer content is being used in all sorts of advertising, and usage has become one of these line items that influencers can charge extra for. And what I am seeing on LinkedIn is that there is a very wide range of ways in which this is being positioned in contracts and in price quotes that are coming back from influencers or from their managers to agencies and brands. Just to start with what we do, when we're for our programs with nano and micro influencers, we set a price. This is, we are going to hire 30 micro influencers. This is how much we are paying. This rate includes X weeks of, or X months of paid usage and X months of organic usage. And it's a bundled deal.
Mm-hmm.
When we reach out to larger creators through their managers and are asking them for their rates. So that works a little bit differently than with the nanos and micros. When we're reaching out to get rates from a larger influencer, we ask for their rates to be presented in that bundled way. So we are saying, okay, we want this one post. Let's say it's on Instagram, and can you please let us know what that post cost with 1 month of paid usage and 6 months of organic usage and 10 days of exclusivity or whatever it is that we want. And we want to bundle back. What I'm seeing online is that there's, well, what we've gotten back from some managers, which is how I got kind of sucked into this whole debate on LinkedIn a few months ago, is we'll get, okay, here's the rate for the post, and then here's the rate for each week of paid usage, and here's the rate for each week of organic usage, and then here's the rate for each day of exclusivity. And
it's like death by 1,000 cuts.
It feels like nickel.
Yep.
I mean, I would say nickel and diming, but it's thousands of dollars. It feels crazy. So,
and there's no level setting there, right? Because they think they're saying, here's the menu, you choose, up to you. Mm-hmm. But where is the efficiencies of scale? Where is the bundle pricing that, hey, if we're going to do all these things, you come back, because like you said, what could be, hey, we have $2,500 to pay you. If they do it that way, it could suddenly become $30,000. And you're like,
well, and here's the thing, here's where it makes me crazy, is that the way that we all know that the way the algorithms are now, when a piece of content is sponsored, it's going to get throttled without paid amplification. And so it's not like it was in 2015 where I'm saying, yay, happy day for you. We're going to be boosting your content. You're so lucky. It has moved on from that. But at the same time, no one wants a piece of content going out there in the world like a tree falling in the middle of the forest and no one hearing it. And everyone knows that with a piece of sponsored content, there has to be at least some bit of paid amplification in order for that piece of content to be successful. So to give me a rate that does not include any term of usage bundled in with it is just inane.
We're on the other side of that growth spurt. Right? The acknowledgement of, oh, I need to, as a creator, protect my creation and content, and my business model is now everything has a price tag to it. Now we're on they have to start with their management and the solo folks as well. Acknowledge either they're going to underperform and start to lose out on business, or they have to come to the table. Mm-hmm. They have to acknowledge this is a business model, not a brand looking to take advantage of them by not including more money for the licensing.
To your point, it becomes this thing where a rate that seems reasonable suddenly explodes into a rate that's not reasonable. We're working on a program now where we're doing the full 2026 program. A different agency who we're now working with had handled the program this year in 2025, and they had only factored in 2 weeks of paid usage for all of the content. But it's an always on type of program. It's not, we're working on a program now for a holiday, and 2 weeks of paid usage is great for that, because after the holidays, let's say it's a Thanksgiving program, we're not going to show Thanksgiving content when everyone's full on in Christmas Hanukkah mode. So that's one thing, but we're talking about like an always on evergreen type of campaign, and they were getting all of their 2025 prices only included 2 weeks of paid usage, which from our perspective is not the way to build a program.
Yeah, super limiting.
And now we're trying to put together this 2026 program, and suddenly we don't have enough money to work with to do it the way that we feel is the right way, because you need more than two. You need, first of all, you want that organic content to live there out in the world for at least 3 days, up to a week or two, to see which organic content is performing the best. Where do we want to put our paid spend? And then you need time for the paid spend to work. 2 weeks of paid usage, it's
almost like anything. The window for paid, if you have to stick with that and it's only 2 weeks, it needs to come 2 weeks later. Like it can't be once the content goes live. It's like, let's negotiate what that window is. Right. But you've pointed out something that I like to beat the drum around. And this holds true, I believe, in a lot of areas in this industry, is it really is highly customized. You just said it. If it's a seasonal, if it's a cultural moment, 2 weeks might be fine. If it's evergreen, if it's Northwest Idaho Teachers Association, it might need more money behind it than less. There's so many layers to this that go into why an agency like yours or mine, the fees that we charge, I mean, I'm back to that, it just isn't. AI is not going to do this for us. AI is not going to acknowledge the nuances.
No. It's refined.
It's really refined.
Specific.
And so I don't know if there is a right answer other than, like, when you say we're having different conversations, there's no consensus. Maybe there isn't going to be.
There's not consensus. The other thing that I have been getting into discussions about is, so in our world, we say organic usage, which is the website the brand just sharing the content out on their website or in their social. And then there's paid, where you're using that content in
a very structured
paid media. Mm-hmm. In our world, we just separate out those two, and paid includes a lot. So it includes that boosting / amplification. It includes that whitelisting where brands are taking that content and putting it into their own ad. Includes, or is that the dark ads? I don't know, whatever. Like, it includes that paid social, not the dark web. It includes the paid social that the brands are doing.
Yep.
For us, it also includes, we use Spaceback a lot, where we're taking social media content and we're pulling it out of the platform and we're running it programmatically in display ads or on connected TV. So our paid usage includes that as well.
Do you specify, or you're just like, boom, it could be any of these? You're going to find out.
If we know at the start of the campaign what we're doing, we're not trying to be evasive or trick anyone. So if we know all the ways in which it's going to be used, we will list them out. But for us, it's just bundled in as paid. We don't separate what that fee is. We don't separate what that term is. But I was having a conversation about this on LinkedIn, and Nicole Hampton, who's one of the experts in our space, was saying that she lists out two separate types of paid. So for her, she separates out the amplification from any paid that's separate and outside of the amplification. And she will add on additional fee for amplification paid, and then extra fee for the other type of programmatic or just paid social.
Can you define
the brand account and
amplification?
Then
what do you mean by
amplification? Was when you're boosting the ad. We just call it boosting, really, on our end. When you're boosting the ad through the influencers.
Right. You're going sort of natively to their platform.
They authenticate they authorize, when they authenticate in our dashboard, they're also authorizing us to run paid on their behalf. So in our world, if I'm doing a campaign for, Owala water bottles, I can pull up that entire Owala influencer ad set and see all 10 influencers who worked on that campaign and see which pieces of content are performing well organically. And okay, this one's generating clicks and this one's generating impressions, and let me move everything around. So we do it all natively within our
right, but I'm saying it's boosting their organic content
coming from them.
Right, not taking that content and then plugging it into a paid on the brand channel.
Correct.
That's where Nicole makes the distinction.
Which to me that
it's more work.
It's more work, and that feels very complicated. I'd rather just say, here's what we need. Hey, influencer, we want you to create this piece of content, and we are going to run it in various forms of paid for 3 months, and we're going to run it organically for a year. Right. And what's the rate for that?
There's also an emotional piece to that maybe I'm imagining that this would be a problem, and it's not. But if you get into that much detail in an influencer contract, like separating out amplification versus programmatic on the brand, you get it. I believe it could set an expectation for the influencers that you're going to boost theirs organic content. And if you don't, because there's 10 influencers and only 2 are really performing well, that could be a world of hurt.
Well, actually, what's interesting is I think that's a world of hurt for the brand. And so when we will sometimes have brands come to us and say, we're going to do this program with you, and we want to make sure that we have 1 year of paid usage for all of the content. And what we always say back to the brand is that's not a great use of your money.
Right.
Let's do 3 months for everyone. And then if any piece of content is performing incredibly well, we will go back to that influencer and we will negotiate out extended usage. You don't need a year from everyone. You are not going to want to boost every piece of content for a full year. You're just not. It's a waste of money.
Such great guidance on your part. And again, it brings to mind the fact that we are at a point in the industry where the brands and the creator side need to start thinking more collaboratively and less, how much can we get from either side? Because there's a lot of space in between for really good partnerships and really good performance with the right handling. And I hear you saying that you're guiding all parties to that type of, we're looking for the best outcome so everybody's happy. We're not trying to, hoodwink the creators, and we're not trying to stifle the brand's need or feeling that they need to capitalize and get the most bang for their buck. There's a sweet spot in the middle. It's nuanced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot to unpack.
It's a really good conversation.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I believe the motivation here that you've surfaced is the defining the terms, kind of staying where we all are with it, who's doing what. It's so interesting to me in our industry how much people are craving commonality, validation, credibility for what they're doing, or credibility to go, like internal teams might listen to this and go back to their brand, their teams or their decision makers and say, actually, there's a different way to do this. And now I've got a little more credibility to pitch a different, more successful way of dealing with the amplification, the paid piece. It is layered. It is nuanced. It's human. Like these are businesses. These are negotiations. It's all, I love that part of it. And I love to hear how you're doing it. And I think other people will benefit from that.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, we are taking a break next week.
Did I understand it's somebody's birthday?
Somebody's birthday.
Nice. I will eat cake in your honor. How about that?
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're
not taking the week off for my birthday. It just happens to coincide with my birthday, but we are taking a week off and then we will be back.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.